Don't get mad when you see this.
Oh yeah, I love your door.
Thank you. Isn't it so cute?
It's so cute.
I lost my pen.
Yeah. Don't enter the student line. She did it.
Hey.
What? You're gonna enter the competition. She didn't even have her AR.
Hey.
She did.
What? That's wrong.
What happened? What?
Your shirt is wrong.
Why?
Because I'm Santa.
I thought you were going to say because it's missing an apostrophe.
That too.
I bedazzled it and I missed it.
But that's careful, the video is on.
Oh,
What do you guys all say? Should we start it over?
Faith looked at me today. She goes, "You're missing an
Oh
apostrophe."
yeah, you told me that. That's amazing.
But they said this was wrong.
It is.
I have been Santa's favorite for almost 50 years now.
No, I'm Santa's favorite.
Yeah, Jordan never gets cold.
Yeah.
You literally told me all that you're pranking everyone right now.
No, I did not.
I'm gonna look better
Oh, everybody thinks I'm joking because I'm not joking.
Okay.
I have my happy birthday or Merry Christmas birthday boy.
Literally look like him and brother.
Okay. So guys, quiet please. Let's start with number 18. So, if you guys didn't have this done or these were wrong, I would suggest redoing them with us so you guys get that practice in. We have to distribute this third power on the top. So it's going to be negative 3 to the third, x to the 6th. We multiply those exponents, and y to the third. On the bottom, just rewrite it. But negative 3 to the third is negative 3 times negative 3 times a negative 3, which is a negative 27. Now I can look at the negative 27 over 9. Negative 27 over 9 is just a negative 3. If it needs to go anywhere, it would have to be on top. Because there's more on top. Then there's 6 x's on the top, 2 on the bottom. So x to the 4th on top, and then a y to the 1st on top. So we don't really need a fraction anymore. We can just be a whole number all on top of the fraction.
I got it right. Go ahead.
All right, so 33. And a bunch of factoring we could do.
What if I drive all the way to Madison just listening to that song? The pirate one.
You could listen to the
Okay, so this one, you guys, I'm going to do a little bit at the same time here. So I'm going to factor, but remember that we need to flip that middle. We have to change it to multiplication and flip this fraction. Guys, if you didn't get this done, I really suggest doing this with us. So I can factor out a 3 out of the top here. On the bottom, I can factor out a 2. Remember, you should always look for that GCF. I'm going to flip this one right now. So I'm going to put this on top, but I'm going to factor the 4 out. Then this is going to be on the bottom, and I'm going to factor a 5 out. But I'm not done yet because I have a whole bunch of more factoring I can actually do. So hopefully you notice, this is, for whatever reason, this is one of the toughest ones to notice, is x squared minus 1 is actually a factorable expression. It's the difference of squares. It's x times x, multiply to get a negative 1, so plus 1 minus 1. This one is x times x, multiply to 3, add to 4, so 3 and 1. Nothing I can do with the x plus 3. 1 adds a negative 2, so negative 1, negative 1. So like I said, lots going on here. Now I look to see what I can cancel. Now you have to be careful that you're not canceling too much. So I can only cancel like one at a time. So those two go together. Then these two. Then these. I also notice the 4 and 2, if you see that as well. 4 over 2 just becomes 2 over 1. So the top is just 3 times 2, which is 6. The bottom, this is just a 5, and then the x minus 1. So a whole bunch cancels there. I'm going to go to 36.
Why are you so paranoid?
Just like I do this elbow, please. I lost it. I mean, property.
So 36, I would say, bless you, I'd say 36 is probably the toughest one on here. Because this is one of the ones you had to do the x type of factoring.
And I did it, but it still was wrong.
It was wrong still.
Maybe you were right and Mrs. Donahue was wrong.
Yeah.
That's definitely it.
Okay. If you're banking on that.
Sure.
That's
Okay.
what I always think when I get something wrong. It's not my fault.
Wow.
It's quite the life strategy to work through. Is that one of your strengths you found? You just lie to yourself.
Yeah.
So this top one, we can take a 6 out. The bottom, I might write a little bit differently. When I have something squared, remember it's multiplied by itself. So I'm going to write it this way so that you remember there's 2 of them. Then I'm going to flip this one and change it to multiplication. But when I put this on top, I can take a 2 out. When I put this on the bottom, I can take a 3 out. Oops, that's not right. So I flipped it and I factored right away a little bit. But this one over here can still be factored. So to multiply to get negative 2, add to get positive 1. So 2x minus 1x. Sorry, why did I do 2 ones there? So I can group this. A 2x comes out, I'm left with x plus 1. A negative 1 comes out, I'm left with x plus 1. So this is my new factor up here. Alright, now I can do a bunch of canceling. So cancels, and cancels here. Then hopefully you see the 6 and 3, can become 2 and 1. The 2 and 4 can become a 1 and a 2, but then these 2's would cancel as well. So the numbers all cancel. All I'm left with is the x plus 5 on the top and the x plus 1 on the bottom. And then remember, we can't cancel those x's because of the plus sign between them. And then finally 39. So this one, that division, those double fractions, is tough to look at initially, but then once you write it the right way, it's not too bad. factor that m squared plus n squared because it's all positive. If there was a minus sign between it, then we could factor it. That's not factorable. And we can't cancel those because of the addition between. So the only thing we can do is cancel the 5 and 15. This would be a 3 and a 1. So this one's kind of lame because that's all we can do, and so you think you did something wrong, but that's it. So you just leave it that way.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
Do you want me to start one or?
We haven't done.
No, I don't know. We could probably do a fun quiz, but not right now.
Do you want me to start this or?
Well, I don't know. I don't have an answer, like a filled out one, so you might just want to start it and then. Yeah. Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, they're actually in the campus. There is zero. Missing. So. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. 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 No, I don't. Yeah, I think he's just waving some sort of page in front of the camera, and that's it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so if you haven't done so already, if you look at the warm-up questions, they're asking you to add and subtract fractions, which if you don't recall is actually worse than multiplying and dividing. Not going to sugarcoat it.
No. Caitlin made me say it, or not you, sorry. Caitlin Becky is going to announce it to my sister. She's like, why can't you stop doing that? Because she's too scared to. There's only 6 people in this story. It's literally me, Carter, Paige, Mitchell, Sam, Adrian.
Mine is really small too.
Oh, this is area.
I don't have.
I think they split it up by
What's it?
I said I don't have a study hall. I have a choir.
Imagine.
Okay, guys. So if you guys could close up computers, please. Let's focus on this. All right. So yesterday, when I asked you guys about multiplying and dividing fractions, you wanted to do what we're supposed to do for adding and subtracting.
Oh,
So,
snap.
not cross multiply. The other thing. Do you remember what else you said? I think you said it too.
Isn't it like a cross?
Denominator.
You need a common denominator.
Yes.
You did, I think you said that yesterday as well.
Yeah, I did.
So we need common denominators. So yesterday we didn't need common denominators. Today we need them. So when anytime you see adding and subtracting fractions, you want to make sure you remember that we need common denominators. Because if I'm talking about, if I'm talking about eating like pizza or whatever it happens to be, and if I say I ate an eighth and a fourth of a pizza, I mean, you're going to have to somehow to manage what that looks like. You're going to need those common denominators to think about what that actually means. How much of that actual pizza did I eat? So, So, okay. So in the first problem here, they give us, we already have the common denominator of 6. So when we do, guys, for adding and subtracting, all we do is we add or subtract the tops. So we do 5 minus 1, which is
4.
4, and then you just leave the bottom. So you leave it as 6, the bottom stays the same because it is already common, and then we have to simplify. So 4 over 6 just becomes
2/3.
2/3.
That's what I meant to say. It's on my paper, I just love it out.
Alright, however, the next one, we can't just add them the way we are. We need that common denominator. So you try to find the number that they can both become using multiplication. So 12. So I'm going to change both the bottoms to 12. Now, whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So if I multiply this by 4, I have to do the same thing to the top. So 8/12 is equivalent to 2/3. And I do the same thing here. So 9/12 is equivalent to 3/4. Now I add these, so 8 and 9 is 17. And then I just leave the denominator the way it is. And again, we don't like mixed numbers. We want to leave it as an improper fraction. Okay? So, we're going to talk about now what happens when we add variables to that.
Oh my.
Did you just ask for a break already? Since we got through the warm-up.
The warm-up makes it look easy, and then they're like,
Oh, wait, I with 3 variables.
So, again, we need a common denominator.
shoot.
Now, when we need common denominators, we need the least common multiple of the numbers. And then we also need basically the variable that they both have, or kind of like what they have in common in terms of a variable. So I'm looking for the common denominator between these two. So I have a 10x and a 5y.
5.
Now you're thinking of simplifying. It actually goes up. So multiples are usually either the same size or bigger than a number.
50.
20.
Okay. So it is okay to use, I heard someone say 10. 10's fine to use. We don't have to make these bigger if we don't have to. Can 5 become 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the least common multiple between 5 and 10 would be 10. And then which variables?
X.
And
Y.
y. We need them both because they both have a different variable. So what's common among them is we have to include both of those. So it's going to be 10xy. So that's going to be our new bottom for both of these. So what does this fraction need?
Y.
It needs a y. Because this has a 10x already, it needs the y. So does the top. What does our second fraction need?
Next.
X and a,
Y.
already has a y.
And 2.
It needs a 2 as well. So we need to multiply it by a 2x, because I want it to be this. So I have to say, like, basically what happens to 5y to make it 2, or to make it 10xy, it needs the x and the 2. If I do that to the bottom, I have to do that to the top. 8
X squared.
8x squared. Take a minute to make sure you guys are okay with that.
Are you asking me? Yeah, I'm fine.
No, I'm telling you that you're okay with that.
You better be.
Daddy.
Except I'm rejecting.
So, we're just going to add the tops. We're just gonna add these two. Are they like terms?
No.
No. So we're just gonna leave them the way they are on the top. And then the bottom just stays the same, so we just move that over.
That's it?
Yeah.
Everything counts.
Now, we do kind of want to give it a little once over. Is there anything that we can like factor out?
No.
No. Here, that was a quick answer. You guys will please no. No, there's really nothing we can factor out. So that's as simple as this one gets. Okay.
This is kind of better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna get,
You think it's better?
it's gonna get
It's
worse.
kind of better. If you do what are you gonna do to me, huh?
You're no longer Santa's favorite.
I am always Santa's favorite.
Yeah, right.
I'm one of his elves.
That's what you're saying.
And that's what we're doing.
Huh?
Okay. All right. Okay, guys. We'll do one more example. Okay.
Here's my bag.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So this next one, you guys, is a little bit trickier. So yes, the front side maybe seemed okay and everything was all right. This gets a little bit tougher. It doesn't stay quite as easy. So I'm sorry. So in this case, we want a common denominator, but we can't just say, well, I can give this one like 3 more and then it's the same. You can't add something on, you have to multiply by something. So I can't multiply -2 by anything to make it into 1. Like that doesn't work. And I can't just choose to multiply that part.
Multiply the 1 by -2.
That's what
And that seems like that would work, except you can't choose to just multiply 1/2 of this.
you would have to do negative.
And you have to do the as well. So when you have something like this, the least common multiple is actually just basically both of them together. So I'm going to multiply this one by m plus 1, and then this one by m minus 2. Okay? So now the bottoms are the same. But if I do that to the bottom, I have to do that to the top as well. So we're going to distribute up here. Now the bottom, I'm going to tell you guys right now, we probably don't need to worry about distributing down there, but we kind of want. So 3m plus 3 is going to be the top. Over here, be 4m minus 8. Now the bottoms are the same, so now we can add the tops. Still not so bad. I mean, these are just combining like terms. So I can do 3m plus 4m is how many m? 7m. 3 and -8, -5. Now, you might be thinking, do we have to FOIL down here? I heard you guys say that. Foiling really isn't going to be helpful because we can't cancel once we've done any kind of foiling anyhow. The main thing is we just want to check to make sure this isn't factorable at all and nothing comes out of that. So that's as simple as this one gets. Now, if the top was factorable, we could do something with it. Then we would want to factor that and cancel if possible, but it's not. Okay? So we can take a little break here. Really, our notes are not very long, but I realized these notes that we're on right now, these were when we were virtual last year, so my notes are all super short because I was trying to do short lessons, so that you're okay with that. So, yeah, we'll have plenty of work to do, but let's do a quick Kahoot break. You want to do a fun Kahoot?
Yeah.
You can choose not to play fun Kahoot.
Yeah.
I can't force fun on you. You just can't win fabulous prizes unless you play. How about holiday movie trivia?
It might not just work there. Is it?
Do you want holiday movie trivia?
Here we go.
Or-
Is it No. Is it the one in Portland? The one in?
No. Not. No.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you see like big old sailor.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know where we are now. Hold on. Can't see the
You need to hear it and then we're gonna get a picture. Oh, that's so good. We all
I'm not even playing. Oh, wait.
Are you gonna do the like?
What? Yeah.
Hey, who are you talking to?
Hey.
Is it
Hey.
really?
Who are you talking to?
or the Grinch.
My favorite part of
Just close it down.
Oh my god. Because that's how she said it. No, my god.
Hey, break the window.
Yeah, the window bridge. I thought you just said something.
Hey.
Saucers, they go on saucers.
Oh, the like garbage can one?
Yeah.
You can probably buy those.
Alright, is anyone else coming in?
You actually could.
Anyone else coming in? This is optional.
I had to be the guy at the gun counter. No one ever knew about the gun.
I did not make this Kahoot, so I do not know it. I'll beat you guys anyway.
I know it.
What?
What?
I really see all of you.
Buster Brown.
I'm on the podium.
I'm
What did I
7.
say? Let's go.
Ian.
I'm in.
I know this.
Oh,
We just said
dude.
this.
Wait, no, I think I did.
Go faster.
Like,
Oh, shoot, I clicked the wrong one.
Mark.
The name's Mark.
I'm good.
Shoot. Max. Max.
I know
Let's see.
That's Cat.
Shoot.
No. What's her name?
Sarah.
Dang it.
Yeah, I thought it was Sarah.
Oh, it is Sarah.
It's Sophie.
No.
I
I did not know that.
It's her.
His name is Joey.
Yeah, who's the
What?
Oh my god, if I get this wrong, I swear.
I mean,
It's actually National
I thought it was certification.
Who calls it that?
It's literally National Christmas vacation.
I did national and.
I'm behind Ryan.
What?
I hate
It literally says Christmas vacation in the picture.
Slow down. Just
Bring 6 guys.
Oh,
I know
shit.
this one. I just
No, it
Bring
wasn't.
France.
London.
It was London.
New Jersey.
Oh, shoot.
London.
I did the wrong one.
Oh, no, I didn't. They're multiple movies, and they go to different
these
places.
liars.
I'm disappointed in this Kahoot.
Yeah, I am too.
What?
The Grinch.
It's his dad.
Joe.
There's no way it's not his dad.
Boss, maybe? What is that thing? Have you ever seen that?
This is a bad one.
God, I
Classic
just
character
You
thing.
didn't make it.
But
But it's
on my
bad.
Holy.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Yeah.
You're on your top.
I know this one.
I don't know what I
Oh my god.
Not in check, not in I'm sick of it.
Sorry, it's the late food.
It is. Maybe we should do another one.
And sorry, too late.
Oh God.
Oh my
I
god.
hate this movie. I hate this movie. It's so scary.
It's intense. It's not crumpet, guaranteed. If you don't put mountain crumpet, you do it.
I mean, like,
Let's go!
I got a snowy cliff.
Told you not crumpet.
they can't even spell.
I know this.
They have
Let's go! You like that? You like that, Garrett?
Oh, it grew 3.
It grew too.
It's freaking snowball.
Oh shoot, I couldn't do that one.
Oh,
Garrett! Why did you say?
I wanted to say the
I
box.
YouTube whatever.
That was
I clicked pause on accident.
What's your good thing?
Oh my god, I hope I choose you.
I hope I choose the right
All
one.
gonna be right.
Yeah, what the hell? This better not. This better.
Why is
Oh,
5 already now?
0 points.
Harmless.
What 0 points? Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
Who's Ralphie?
What the heck? Yeah, Rob.
He gives me so much anxiety.
It's green.
Literally me.
How you like that?
And he's
How you like that? Oh.
Ralphie.
look at how they spell
Denver.
reindeer.
Is that danger? Come on. What? What's your else?
Yeah, did you Christmas lights?
It's for your candle.
I know.
How's it not a candle? I've been heard these songs since I was like 5.
Time by.
I was the Grinch.
Participation.
You got top 5. I'm the Grinch. I was the Grinch.
That was me actually. He sounds
Who was hippopotamus?
You like that?
Do I like what?
Candy.
Participation?
I guess.
Rex was final in bed.
Still a different prize.
What's that game called?
Kinsey, choose alright.
No one else wants this for bed.
Bro, what's that scary? I'm
This is what I'm doing.
What's that game
Alright, participation trophy. You like one?
What's a beast?
Whenever I throw a fly, I just touch it.
It's all good.
Difficult questions.
How many looks are you choose
Right on.
Stop. Don't you dare count.
Jackson, stick your crap. Whoa. Oh,
Ah.
man. Calm down, buddy.
Go to the top of it.
Since that one was
No,
so
no,
bad,
no,
you should
no, take that, take
The answers are also short.
Sorry, you guys were online and had to sit through that bad Kahoot.
Brian, give me a discount after we farm. Brian, do you get a discount after we farm? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So, this next problem, you guys, we just have a couple more examples and then we'll be done. And then you guys will have the rest of the time to work. Just a reminder, this homework isn't due until Monday. So tomorrow, the only thing you would need to be online for is if I ask you guys to come online. I haven't sent out any emails yet. But if I need you guys there, then I just ask that you guys come on and kind of prepared, like ready to work. So those of you guys who probably need some extra help.
Is that me?
No. I have to put your test in this stuff.
Just doing it.
Okay. So, all right. So in this case, you guys, anyone see something we can do before we kind of start here? Yeah.
Multiply the first like bottom by 3.
Oh, nice. So, how did you notice that, Kinsey, though? Yeah. So, before you start, you might want to do this first. So, like what Kinsey said is correct, but I think the way she noticed that was she actually kind of pictured this maybe factored form, or realized that you could just multiply these both by 3. This is the same thing as this. So, in this case, the only thing this is missing is being multiplied by 3. So if you're able to factor first, you should try and do that if at all possible. So this is factorable. It makes it look a little more obvious that they're alike. So we're going to multiply this one by 3, but if I do that to the bottom, I have to do that to the top as well. So the top of this fraction becomes a 9. The bottom of this is just the same as what's there. And now I can add. So 4x is everything to go with. 9 and 5 is going to be 14.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually hoping we'd be done before they get so much. Now, you guys might want to double check. This one can be factored on top, but if you kind of do a little bit of work in your head, you're going to notice nothing can be simplified. So this, I mean, if you can do that in your head and realize it's done here, this is also acceptable, but nothing can cancel. She went to Hopkins.
One more, I'm just done.
Yeah, we'll get done and then you guys can, I don't know where they went. Excited about the vegetable juice. Okay.
Well, I'll take a refreshment.
Did you really like it?
I like it.
So someone left their pizza here last time, so I'm like, oh, I'll just take it home and one of the boys will eat it. And then I left it in my school bag, and all of a sudden the puppy, like an hour later, the puppy comes like running out of like an office with the pizza in her mouth. Like she was like, thanks for the pizza, Mom.
She liked pizza.
I took it away from her before she was able to eat it. But are you good now, Garrett?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Donnie. Guess what?
All right, so this one, you guys, there's a couple different places we could do factoring. So obviously nothing happens to the 5, but the bottom of this, what can I take out? 2. Okay, so I factored the 2 out of the left side, but the right side can also be factored. But this is the different type of factoring. This was GCF. This one, yeah, hi. This one we have the x times x. We want to multiply to get negative 12, but add to get negative 4. Yep.
Negative 6 and positive 2.
Negative 6, positive 2. Okay. So the question is, hopefully you notice some similarities, but hopefully you also notice what they're missing. We have food?
Yeah.
Oh,
Food!
Me first.
Dude, I can't even
Why not this girl?
I'll leave it out.
We'll have
There's like 2 different things and nice. These are from the yeah. Hey! And then oh! I'm just missing my rope. Me and her. Tara, go ahead. Laura and
Hey, make this guy go laugh.
Matthew.
He looks like I know she's holding my
There might be directions on there.
No, I'm pretty excited.
Choose your own adventure.
All set.
Guys, next row.
All
Caitlin,
set.
Are you going?
Garrett. Really?
Ethan, did you want?
Oh, sure.
Last row. Louis Garrett.
Just that executing Garrett. Get out of here.
Do we have more pizza?
Okay, guys, have a seat. We're gonna finish up this problem, and then you guys can. Sorry, people online, they just got their lunch. Let's finish up this problem. Yeah, I know. Okay. And you guys can do what you want to do, but let's finish. Okay. So, what is this one missing that this one has? X plus 2. Now you might think I can just put like an x in front of this. You can't do that. Remember, it's multiplication. So I need the x plus 2 here. And if I did that to the bottom, I have to do that to the top. What's the one on the right missing? Just the 2. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 2 and the top by 2. So up here we can FOIL. It's 5x plus 10. And the bottom's kind of a mess, but that's okay. Nothing that we have to really be too worried about quite yet. This is minus 40. Now we can combine the tops. So it's 5x minus 30, right? Because 10 minus 40. Okay, do you guys notice anything about the top that we can do? You can take out a 5. When I take out a 5, this is actually a place where something kind of good happens here.
Oh yeah.
It's a little rewarding when that happens. Something gets to actually cancel. So we're left with just a 5 on top, and then 2 times x plus 2 on the bottom. Questions? So homework is listed there. If you guys want to see, make sure you guys pick up stuff.
Yeah, you want my meal?
You guys don't have.
I'll give that to my mom. Are you grabbing?
Yeah.
Cheeseburger.
How should I want this?
Mac and cheeseburger.
No.
Right, I was Ryan got a big guzzler.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put all this guys in the right.
You see how we went from here to there, factoring out the 5. So we're still answering the other on the top. It's kind of like we did up here.
Here, I put this on.
I'm gonna go with these things.
That's on the top, just like yesterday.
Wait.
Yesterday. Were you able to bend him? Oh yeah. Why don't I put you next door, because they're kind of loud. This is probably a good place.
I win. You probably not in freaking preschool. Alright.
Frank, if you want to suck here, there's some underneath.
Alright, Nick. Wait, I gotta get it in.
No, I'm gonna drink all these at the same time now.